Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, greetings and welcome to Industrial Talk, the number one industrial-related podcast in the universe that celebrates industry professionals all around the world. You know the story. You are bold, brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you collaborate, you solve problems each and every day. And that's why we celebrate you on this incredible platform. Yeah, I'm pretty bullish about it. We're talking to, in the hot seat, a gentleman by the name of Hartmut Hahn. The company is Userlane, and we're going to be talking about that solution because you need to hear about this. Let's get cracking. Great solution. So it ventures into that category of, okay, I've got technology. I've got technology that I'm trying to use to make my company better, to make my business more efficient, and I'm collecting information, and I'm doing everything that I possibly can to be a success. But the real rub is the fact that, one, maybe people are not using it the way they need to use it. Maybe they're a little frustrated. And if, as an executive, you need to know this. And so here's a platform, Userlane, that allows you to have that type of insights into how people are using those platforms, and are they getting the most out of it? Are you extracting the value that you so need? It's a great conversation, which then leads me to another conversation. And I want you to take note, because we are just so dedicated to you, industrial companies, individuals, people, whatever you might want to say. We want you to succeed. You have to succeed. It's an obligation for you to succeed. And that's why Industrial Talk is here. And the reason for this is that, one, we want a platform. Industrial Talk is a platform that you can go to and find answers, right? Then, one, if you have a podcast that you want just greater exposure, some increased traction, awareness, attention, and you have a podcast, put it on Industrial Talk. Let me know. Let's collaborate. Let's figure it out. The reason is I want everybody to be able to just go to Industrial Talk, get answers, reach out to you, and get solutions that are needed. That's what Industrial Talk is all about. That's one. Two, the other thing that Industrial Talk provides, of course, is the platform, but there's technology, especially now, everywhere, that needs greater attention, that greater awareness. And if you have a solution that you want to amplify, put it on Industrial Talk. That allows me and my team to promote your solutions, to promote your podcast, to promote the technology. It's if you know AppSumo, then you understand that there is this need to be able to do that and to be able to sort of increase that exposure. So Industrial Talk is just strictly that. It is a way of being able to increase the attention to your solution and bring opportunities to you to be able to sort of solve their problem, whoever their problem is. Like in the case of Userlane, right? There is a challenge out there with companies that are not getting the full value out of their technology stack. Why? Well, Userlane provides the ability to create that insights into the why, and then be able to create the strategies around that to be able to say, do this, do this, do this. Tangible stuff to be able to increase that attention. Technology. We need to do more with less. We need to be able to leverage that technology. We need to do it in a way that makes sense, because we here at Industrial Talk want you to succeed. We just do. So that's my soapbox. So there's three things. One, you want to be on the podcast? Let me know. Go out to Industrial Talk. You have a podcast, an existing podcast, and you want to be able to create greater attention, greater traction, awareness, go out to Industrial Talk. Talk to me about it and see how we can collaborate. And then thirdly, if you have a technology that you want people to know about, and it provides and solves problems, you need to let me know so that you can be out on Industrial Talk and be able to say, check this technology out. This is what you need to look into. And then create opportunities for you. Everything goes back to you. So that's it. Take it for what it's worth. Take it to the bank. Industrial Talk is for you. All right. Hartmut. That's Hartmut. Hahn. The company is Userlane. And, of course, I just spoke about what they do, but he's going to expand upon it. Mad technology. You need to look into this. So let's get cracking. Hartmut, how you doing? Welcome to Industrial Talk. You having a good day?
Perfect day, Scott. Great to be here.
It's okay, listeners. We're going to be talking about a solution, and you know this is a solution that helps extract greater value out of your digital transformation solution. I don't know how that happens because I know that there's a stat here that's in his questionnaire that 45% of enterprise software packages deliver the expected. That means the other 65 don't. So which is definitely the case. I'm interested. But before we get into that conversation, Hartmut, give us a little background on who you are.
I'm the CEO and founder of Userlane. We are Europe-based, out of Munich, Germany, software company. Have been around for about 8 years and work with mainly large enterprises. And obviously, being based in Germany, you're very close to everything industrial and manufacturing when it comes to our customers.
Yeah. Let me ask this question. With that said,
Yeah.
can I use your platform? And this is jumping ahead a little bit because I want to make sure that we start to state the problem. But I'm just, if I'm a company, I've already had my ERP, my digital solution in place for a number of years. Can I jump in and say, Userlane, help me? I am still dealing with some suboptimal, efficiencies with it. Can I just, or does it have to be truly greenfield and new?
No, actually, like 95% of cases where we come in, companies have already a vast software landscape, but have little idea about what people are actually using and how good they're using it. So the more software using, the better for us.
See, that's great because then all that pain sinks in a little bit. And let me ask you this too: in the world, in the way that technology is evolving and changing, is Userlane flexible enough to be able to also adapt because things are changing? Like digital transformation. Now I've got devices out there. Now I'm pulling data off of. Now I'm pulling and I'm using AI or whatever, some machine learning. But is that also the case?
Yeah, that's also the case. For us, we are we're basing our tech on browser software. That means as long as your software runs in a browser, we can basically analyze it, see what people are using, where they struggle, and then basically give you the tools to make it easier to use for all of your people.
Okay, so now that we've sort of established that, give us a little sort of overview on what the problem is. What are we dealing with outside of the fact that I've already chirped on it, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely no problem. The problem is quite simple. If you ever worked in a large organization, you understand that companies, especially large companies, are very good at buying software. That means they are buying hundreds of different software solutions for all kind of use cases.
Yeah.
And especially in the past 2 years, everybody got a credit card saying hey, you need a new project management tool, buy this. You need a ChatGPT subscription, buy that. And problem is companies also sometimes are quite okay in paying consultancies. We talked about that before in implementing those solutions. So everything is there, everything is implemented. The biggest problem is nobody's using it or not using it correctly. And that's exactly the problem we're tackling. Because if you are like working in a large organization, you're expected to like from one day to the next, there's like an ERP redesign, a new process in expense management, and you're just sitting there, you want to do your job, but you have like no idea how to do it. Try to go on YouTube, look for like videos that explain it to you, and basically do everything but the job you're paid to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in the end, I like if your company, you want your people to actually do what they pay them to do, not trying to figure out like complex processes and software. And what we do, quite simply, we can analyze your whole software stack. First of all, we can tell you which software your people are actually using, because sometimes like people are using software and you don't even know that they're using it. Like people, like imagine you have like people working on like something confidential, and like they're entering like questions in ChatGPT, and you might not want basically that confidential information to go like into a
Oh,
random
did
AI engine, right?
think
Which is
that.
which is like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then we can tell you also like where people struggle. That means we can tell you, hey, your, I don't know, annual review process is broken. Nobody really completes it. And once you know what's broken, we give you tools to fix it, like create interactive guides, tool tips directly in the software as an overlay. So people then actually understand what they need to do and
Huh.
are actually productive.
How
That's
does that happen? So let's say I have some web-based solutions,
yeah,
and Mr. Executive, thinks that
yeah,
people are using the tools that are in place to be able to make my business run efficiently and getting the
yeah.
information that I need to make tactical and strategic decisions. I'm doing everything, but I'm just not there. I feel
Yeah.
something. How does Userlane sort of evaluate that? How I just it's still sort of that, like, what's that use case?
Yeah. So basically, what you described is exactly like when we come in. Most of the time, as an executive, you have like some sort of a gut feeling that things aren't running as smooth as possible, but it's most like anecdotal. That means
Yeah,
you talk to people, someone complains like, "Oh, I hate that
yeah,
process,"
yeah.
or like, "I don't know what to do," and you hear like all those anecdotes, but you have like no data to actually make like a decision to fix something, to like train people there, or like just switch off an application because nobody's using it. And what we do is basically Userlane technically runs as a browser extension, and we
Uh,
can track every interaction from every employee in every software, but we do it anonymously. So I don't care if it's Scott doing a process or if it's Hartmut. I just care about like, hey, is this process or is this software being used? And what we then do is we take all these vast amounts of data, run them through like some like machine learning pattern recognition, and interpret it across 5 dimensions. From we basically established a framework there. We call it HEART, and it's an acronym. It's like happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, task success. Give you a score for every software, and then you can see, for example, oh, on Salesforce, I'm at a, I don't know, 60 out of 100. And on Oracle, I might be on a 25.
yeah.
And then you can like dive in and see like, okay, what's wrong with like my Oracle implementation? Where do people struggle?
Do you, because every organization is different, and they
Yeah.
might use Salesforce in a way that you know Acme doesn't use it that way. They use it this way, and everybody uses the platform in a different way. Do you establish some sort of baseline process of what they need to do, and therefore find the gaps that exist? Like, okay, you're supposed to go here, 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 and
Mhm.
then generate a report or whatever. But then you see the process is you go here, then here, and then you jump off and you go wherever you go, you don't know. How do you do
Yeah.
that?
Basically, there are things we can measure automatically, like how often people log in, how much time they spend in the software, how much data they enter. This is like the same across every organization, but the
Mm-hmm.
processes are always different. So what our customers do, they basically really map out processes. That's really easy to do, plug and play,
Yes.
no code. You basically set up a few tags within your process. For example, if you have like a process, you like set 2 marks at like the start of the process, somewhere in the middle, and at the end. And then we can see how many people kick off the process and how many people finish it and where they drop out. So basically, this is where our customers would then spend, I think, like in their implementation phase, a few hours on mapping out their processes.
Yeah.
And then we can track that.
Is that conversation of map out process? Because I'm a big process mapping guy, because I think that if you nail that and you get the right people in the room and you debate saying, no, this is where they need to go. No, this is what needs to be generated, and so on and so forth, and be able to have that conversation. I would imagine that in itself has tremendous value, just to do that. Just like, oh, I didn't know we were supposed to do that, that type of.
100%. For us, like the process mapping part is, we do it like, our focus is to be broad. That means our focus is to be like on every application in a software stack. That means in terms of like process mining or like task mining, obviously you can also invest in a specific software that goes really deep into like analyzing specific processes step by step.
Yeah.
For us, we're going more on a high level. So that's very fast to like map out your processes and then detect like, hey, maybe on that process, something is really broken. And if you want to then dive deep into that process, you can work with one of our partners who do process mining and who could then provide like a specific software that goes like really deep and tell you exactly what's wrong. We are more the guys that tell you, hey, is there something red, green, or yellow?
Yeah.
And if there's something red, you better do something about it. If there's something green, you can ignore it. And if something's yellow, better monitor it and see if it gets better or worse.
Is it a constant monitoring? Is it once? Well, let me ask this question.
Yeah.
So I say I'm, Mr. Executive once again. I think that something's going on. I have nothing to back it up. I just have a feeling, and I contact Userlane. And how quickly can I have something up and running to give me the green, yellow, and red dashboard indication?
I think like 4 weeks is a good time. We have also customers that like went live in 2 weeks. But normally I would say like 4 to 6 weeks is healthy. And yes, it's a constant monitoring because processes change all the time.
Yeah.
You might introduce like a new module. You might introduce like a new feature that is released and you want to know like, hey, is that feature adopted? Are people actually using it, or are they just ignoring it?
It would seem to me that the process too, if it's ongoing, I would be obsessed over it, quite frankly. I would constantly look and be identifying the red and trying to figure out and rooting those red things out, and if there's a yellow one, and so on and so forth. Do you have that conversation on determining what is considered yellow and green and all that stuff with me, Mr. Executive?
Yeah. At the beginning, we do basically a calibration.
Yeah.
And we ask you, for example, like, hey, how many Salesforce licenses do you have? And then you can say,
a gazillion. I'm telling you, they have a gazillion, like, and they don't even know it.
Yeah, the right answer is always like too many.
It is.
And then we can basically see like, okay, hey, you have 500 licenses, but let's say only, I don't know, 300 log in every month. And out of like those 300, maybe 50 only log in once a month. Typically the executives like me, who is like, I as a CEO, yes, I technically have like Salesforce access, but normally I get all my intel in basically slides from my sales guys, from the sales leadership, right?
Yeah. So with that, we're let's say best case scenario 6 weeks. I'm up and running. I've had this conversation. We've calibrated. We've done a great job with our process mapping, so we feel pretty good. In that whole process, is there a time when you've got your technology stack and you realize that out of 100, 25% we don't use anymore, we don't need anymore, and we're paying money for that and we don't need to?
Yeah, that's also like one of our use cases. Normally what happens is like you realize, A, you're paying for software that you're not using. B, what also happens is like we didn't realize we're paying for like 10 different project management tools. because like there's so many out there in the market, and the one team says like, oh yeah, I really like this one, the other one pays for that. So if you want to do like some vendor consolidation and say like, hey, I want everybody maybe on those two, this is also something we're realizing.
Yeah.
And then you realize, holy shit, I didn't even know we were like paying for that. Or like anybody's using that. And this is sometimes like those shadow IT, where someone is like using unauthorized software, which can, if you're basically having to do like certifications like SOC 2, technically you have to list like those kind of things, and you have to like test and like validate that all the software products you're using is secure and safe. And if you can't guarantee that, you could run into problems. And we can help you also like identify that.
It's just at a minimum, it seems like a wonderful exercise in getting a handle on your technology stack. I can't imagine, I can't communicate it enough in such a way that I know that there are organizations out there that just have tons of just inefficient technology in their portfolio. It does. And then you start to talk about the consistencies of reporting. Like, I get this report and it has this, and I get that report and it has something different, and so on. There's no consistency across that. It just seems like it would be a great, at a minimum, great exercise to do, just to get a good view of what's happening. So I use your solution, Userlane. I get a great handle on what's happening in my organization. And what can I expect? Can I just root out inefficiencies, right? In a sense.
In the first sense, what you do is like you optimize your software spend. That means like you can basically save some cost for like licensed applications no one is using. The second thing is, a second step is you will realize there is some business critical software that people are not like using correctly. You don't want to basically switch out your ERP because that is painful. So what do you want to do?
No. Even the hair on the back of my neck just went like, no.
Like ERP or CRM migration is like, if you can avoid it, avoid it.
Yeah.
And so the question is rather, okay, how do you get people to use it, right? And there are a few things you can do there. There are things in the application, there are things outside of the application. Inside of the application, we can help you because like with our browser extension, we can like let you create interactive help content, like a mini copilot inside of your ERP or CRM that helps people use it with like interactive step-by-step guides, with tool tips, with announcements where you can say like, hey, everybody, look at that new process, and like have hints there to like guide people through it. That is in-app, and that is something you can also do with like the second part of our product. I always say what we have like the understand part of the product, which is like an analytics suite, which is what we talked about. And the second part is like the engagement suite, where you can like create engagement content directly in app to like help people complete processes and like lower frustration. And this is something obviously you can like do directly with us. But if, for example, people are not logging in the first place, you can do like things outside of Userlane. For example, do like work with a consultancy to like get motivation engagement up and increase the employee experience.
I like it. I do. I like that a lot. And I would imagine you have that conversation with the team and saying, hey, there's no engagement here in this particular area of the application stack or whatever software stack. And is it important? They say, yes, it is. Okay, then I can create some sort of an engagement solution in that, saying, hey, now you're here. This is, I like that. Boy, that sounds really pretty cool. Because you need the technologies to succeed, but if you're not, what a mess. This is great. I like this a lot. Where do you see it going outside of what we've already talked about? What's the next sort of thing on the horizon?
Obviously, as CEO, I always think like 1 or 2 years ahead. And for me, the next interesting thing is going into predictions. That means, for example,
Yes.
to go into, if you're thinking about implementing like a new module of your ERP or CRM, we could predict how that will pan out based on like the, let's say, like the ability of your organization to adopt new technologies. For example, if we see like, hey, all of your ERP products, your people are struggling with it. Maybe not the best time. If you introduce something right now, it will just like create a huge mess.
Yeah.
Right now, first clean up like the things you have, get the engagement up there, and maybe wait half a year before like you introduce the next thing. So going a little bit into like the whole predictive world on how new like releases or features will impact your productivity.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And so what's in my head, I see that Userlane gives us real overall picture of user adoption. Are we getting the most out of the platform? That's great. And then you make that more efficient, and then you get people to do that more engagement, and then now you're predicting. I think it's a no-brainer. I do. I think that's great, just because I had a conversation with another gentleman about just inefficiency, just the amount of inefficiencies that exist within technology today in organizations. It's trillions of dollars. It's just insane. And nobody can sit there and say, well, that's just poppycock. Everybody knows that it's inefficient. Everybody knows. I like it.
And the interesting thing is, like 5 years ago or so, when the economy was different, nobody really cared. Everybody was just like, hey, buy more technology.
Yeah.
And now people are like, okay, before we spend like the next 100 million on like random tech, let's just see what the millions and billions we're spending on right now, what they actually deliver.
I love it.
And this is basically where we say we're trying to help.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, well done. Kudos to Userlane. Hartmut, how do if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Obviously, Userlane website. You can contact us directly there. Other than that, always like feel free also to directly reach out on LinkedIn to me.
Very good.
Very easy to find. Hartmut Hahn, Userlane.
I love it, man. This is great. This is a great conversation. I loved it. All right, users. And see, you're users now. All right, listeners, we're going to have all the contact information for Hartmut out in Industrial Talk. So fear not, reach out. This is a great solution. You need to check it out. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Hartmut Hahn, Userlane Company. Excellent. How about that for a conversation? I really enjoyed that conversation. Reach out to them. I know you're not getting the greatest value out of your technology stack, and you just keep on adding to it, just like we painted that picture. It's happening. I've experienced it. Get the most. Figure out that solution. Userlane definitely is the company to collaborate with. Go out to userlane.com. All right. To reiterate, you have a podcast? Stick it on Industrial Talk. You have technology? Let's talk about it on Industrial Talk. Go out to Industrial Talk, reach out to me. I'm telling you, I'm warm and fuzzy. I'm cuddly. I'm not going to make it just all brutally and intense. We need everybody to succeed. And that means get that message out. That means to amplify it. That means to put people together that solves problems. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with Hartmut. Change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.